Hey everybody, welcome to another Props from the Past. It's Friday, and we've got a fun old video for you, a fun old project.
Yeah.
Oh, look at it. So a while back, this was like one of the last commissions I actually took. Someone wanted a Hearthstone box before Blizzard officially sold one of their own.
Yeah, that wasn't even, like, we weren't aware that they were planning on making one. They probably were at that point.
Sure.
Yeah, this person just had an idea that they wanted their own physical Hearthstone box and commissioned Bill to do it.
Yeah, and then Britt did actually all the work. So the video we're going to watch was building that first one.
It's not this one.
No.
It's the first one.
This one is one that Britt made for us so that we would have one to keep, and she covered that in a bunch of extra credit videos.
Yeah, there's like 4 different ones. I ended up flocking the inside with a fuzzy, velvety flock. So that's a video. Then I was able to get rid of the molds after I did those videos. So when we moved our shop back into our basement, I didn't have to carry those back. Yep. So it was nice. I got my own. Got rid of the molds.
And then we never have to make one again.
Exactly.
All right, let's dive in. I used this music a lot back then.
It's one of our like 5 songs.
Yep. What could be in there?
Wow. My lights. I've been looking everywhere for these.
Silly joke. Fun story. We got dozens of those lights. Our friends at Weta Workshop. I visited their booth at
San Diego Comic-Con?
Salt Lake Comic-Con. There we go. And I helped them tear down their booth, and they had a box full of those, this giant box full of those. And I said, "Oh, I'll take those off your hands." And then I brought them with me to our friend's hotel room, and I left them there. And months later, they brought that box back to our shop, delivered it to us.
Oh, and hid them all in the shop.
And hid them everywhere in our shop.
So we didn't end up wanting them or need them.
No, we didn't need all those.
But they all ended up in our shop.
Yeah. And so now they're in boxes everywhere in our basement.
Most of them we've torn up for LED projects. I was doing a lot of experiments, I think, with the LED things. And so we don't have too many left. Also, that intro reminded me, this was the first video that I completely edited and published all on my own.
Yeah.
Because you were traveling.
Yeah,
I remember sending you this edit being like, I hope it's okay. Like you watch it and you're like, it's good enough.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany Duran from Punish Props. We make replica
I also like how
props
back then we would like, oh, I'm filming a video, I should put in my contact lenses. And now I'm like, I just wear my glasses all the time.
Look at my description.
Cat petter. Yeah. That's true.
costumes. And our latest project is a Hearthstone box. Yeah. It's so cool. This project includes a lot of things we've covered before, like 3D printing, molding and casting. Tutorials for all of those videos are listed below, so definitely go check those out. Now here's the entire process of how we made this Hearthstone box.
All right.
I designed the box in a 3D modeling program called Maya.
Yeah, this is Maya.
All these pieces
Ironically, this would have been way easier to make in Fusion 360.
Oh, totally.
But back then, like, Maya it still is my comfort zone. But for doing hard edge stuff, it's actually a lot more work to get your polygons all clean.
Right.
As opposed to Fusion 360, where you can just draw a curve.
Yeah. But this is what we learned when we went to college.
Yeah.
For 4 straight years, Maya was like the primary application the two of us used for all of our projects. That said, it's been a while for me. It has been a very long while since I've used Maya, and I bet it would feel pretty foreign at this point, especially compared to Fusion.
So they can fit on our printer bed. We have a whole series of videos on getting started with 3D printing props linked below.
Look at how clean that looks.
Yeah,
The
that's
Hearthstone
really clean.
symbol
That's the
was
Dremel.
test piece
Dremel
we
3D
also
printer.
used in
Yeah,
our
go
one-part
Dremel.
mold video.
Ugh.
The symbol got sanded and the
We've been
damage...
using that Anycubic printer for the last week or so. Britt's been printing some really detailed stuff. And it looks so good compared to what it was like in the old days in 2016.
But also, like, we didn't know what we were doing with the settings. I know with this printer, we had a lot of problems not having a thick enough top layer. So you would see the infill through the top layer.
That's
like
true,
it would be
yeah.
little divots on it.
Yeah.
And I think this box had a lot of that.
marks were carved in with files and rotary tool bits. XTC 3D was mixed up and brushed on the whole surface, filling in all the print lines.
Actually, yeah, that
sanding
probably
and
did a really
priming, the remaining
fantastic
print
job.
lines were filled in with spot putty.
Oh yeah, it looks really good.
And the whole symbol got wet sanded.
You know, it's interesting. I don't see a lot of people doing that with their 3D prints, at least prop makers doing that with their 3D prints anymore. because I think partially because 3D prints look a lot better now, so you have to do less post work.
Yeah.
Especially those resin printers.
I know the filament companies for FDM printers, they're encouraging people to leave their prints raw.
Sure.
So they have these beautiful colors of filament and like the color changing ones and all that stuff. So you're like, I'll just leave it raw.
But we don't really do the epoxy coating very much anymore.
Well, I don't like adding a lot of material to something, especially if it has to fit together.
Yeah. Imagine if you had printed this symbol on that resin printer, though.
Oh, man.
Right? You hit it with a coat of primer, you give it a quick sanding, and it's ready to go. You could even 3D print it with that clear resin. This is cast out of a mold using a tinted blue clear resin. But you could have printed it like that with the tint right in there, and then it would have been pretty much done.
Oh, man. At least I learned a lot. That's usually with the projects I work on.
It's pretty astonishing, though, how much those technologies and techniques have evolved over the past, 6 years. Not very long.
The printer was working this entire time on the frame
Someone
of the
still
box
has this
lid.
printer.
We have a ton of scrap PVC plastic that I used to add
does.
more depth to the frame pieces.
Mike.
I really didn't want to try and print the frames overhang, and it also would have used a lot of extra printing material.
Someone's
so I just
still
glued
using
on
this
these
printer,
extra plastic
which is great.
strips. The rest of the box lid pieces got printed, and then they
maybe
all
not.
got cleaned up
Actually,
and sanded.
Yeah. Who got the...
We gave Mike the A-net.
Yeah, so our A-net went to our one friend, Mike, but where did the
We gave the Dremel to Rob, but then he gave it to someone else.
Oh, yeah, so our
Rob got the Zortrax.
For those of you who watched our channel for a while, we have had a couple printers come through the shop in our videos, and the Zortrax is one of them. We did that Metroid helmet.
Yep.
That we gave to our friend, our Bill's brother Rob, and he has been doing a great job with it.
Right, he's using it to print full Iron Man suit.
Yeah, it's working great for him. I had trouble with it, but he's having a great time.
And body filler was used to fill in any of the rough spots.
There's a lot of rough spots.
Now that all of the different pieces are printed,
what rough
it's time to
spots?
assemble them
You
for
didn't
molding.
see anything.
That's just a fun shot.
These
That's really
pieces
good.
all needed to be thicker, so I used more scrap plastic. The box walls and lid got combined into 4 pieces,
Nice.
2 walls and 2 lids. I filled in all the seams with body
Feels
filler
good to
and everything got
be able to
coated
assemble
with
things like that, and they
3D.
all sort of lock
Yeah.
together.
After sanding, I used files to carve in some of the deep wood grain.
I like
Filler
this.
prime-
Both Brittany and I have a lot more experience with hard surface modeling. We don't do a lot of our organic stuff. So I like the idea of playing to your strengths, 3D modeling the hard surface stuff, but then the wood grain, carving it in by hand.
Oh
later.
yeah, like if I had tried to sculpt that in ZBrush or
Right.
something.
Neither one of us has very much experience at all with ZBrush.
No.
So doing that part in the real world where we're a lot more adept makes sense.
Especially after all the filling and stuff. I would have lost a lot of the sculpted in
Yeah,
detail
sure.
on an FDM print.
Filler was sprayed onto the pieces, and after more sanding, it was time to add more details. Furniture tacks are super handy for
Someone's
prop
playing
builds,
in the sandbox
and these
right
were
now.
the perfect size for the frame's decorative rivets. More wood grain got carved in, and then I sprayed on some normal primer. I wanted a nice layer of paint to be able to scratch with rough sandpaper.
Yeah.
I dragged the sandpaper in the direction of the wood grain.
He's
All of this fine detail
burying
will be
his
picked
poop.
up in the
Yes.
molds later.
He's not varying it.
I lightly sanded all the pieces, and now they were ready for molding. For more information about molding and casting, check out our video tutorials listed below.
Man,
Yeah.
I haven't
I
molded
used our
something in
favorite silicone
ages.
been a
Mold
while.
Max 30. Part A and B got thoroughly mixed, which introduces a ton of bubbles. Those bubbles got
Early
pulled
on,
out-
though, hey, you done, buddy? All right. He makes a show of it every time he poops, and then he doesn't actually bury it. That's his MO.
It's like, this is the way.
Back in the day when I took a lot of commissions and we actually sold props, we molded everything so that we could cast copies and sell them. So we were always, whenever we made something, we pretty much always made a mold of it. We don't really, oh, there is a Willow. We don't really do that much anymore. Sure, just cover my face with your tail, Willow. What?
She
what was
scared
that?
herself.
What was that?
There's a bird out there, Willow. You
Yeah.
get it?
All right.
a degassing chamber. Our first mold was the Hearthstone symbol. I slowly poured in the silicone so that no air gets
This mold
trapped.
has been used for many,
Then the
many
mold wall,
demonstrations
which,
since
was
then.
a section of
I put
cardboard
glitter in
tubing
it?
Yeah.
got cut away.
It's a really nice
liberating
little
the
mold.
master.
I used to do giveaways
The box lid
on
was
live
next,
streams.
and I made these walls out of more scrap plastic. This plastic is PVC foam.
Scrap
A
plastic.
heat gun can be used to bend the
Fantastic
pieces,
plastic
so I
place.
could quickly make mold walls
that
that
hot
follow
glue
the
gun
curve
is-
of the master. More mold
no longer in
Max 30
service,
got
but I
mixed
think it
up
still
and
works.
poured into the box lids.
We got some fancy.
But I
fancy
ran out of
pants ones
silicone.
from,
I quickly chopped up an
Oh,
old
yeah.
broken mold to use as filler. I was pretty frantic at this point and I forgot to record, but we used the same process in this footage here.
There
the
we
blue
go,
is
yeah.
a tin cure silicone.
That happens like
Clock's ticking.
over the years. You do get better at measuring the volume that you need, but sometimes you pour it. It's the last bit that you had. Like, oh no. And that's why you start looking around the shop for a mold. You're like, we don't need this one anymore. You can hack it up and mix it in there. So long as it's tin. This is tin cure silicone. So long as you're adding
Yeah, that
more
was an
tin
old
cure.
tap plastic silicone tin cure from a dead mold.
Yeah,
We do still have a box of dead mold chunks. Actually, now our dead mold chunks are full of the Hearthstone Box
Yes,
mold.
that's
That
right.
mold has been chopped
And it
up.
will live on forever.
Tap Plastics, which is similar to the tin cure
Hey,
mold Max
I
30.
explained
that.
They
Good job,
bonded
Pass Me.
together
Right on.
nicely.
Those are not insignificantly sized molds there.
I had
Yeah.
some leftover Mold Star 15 silicone from our District 9 rifle project.
Oh yeah,
So I used that for the last two molds.
and it works. Thank goodness.
With all of the molds,
That's this Mold Star 15 in particular is just a silicone I've had problems with in the past, especially on things that were printed on a resin 3D printer.
Yeah,
definitely. And in our shop, for some reason, it's like if there's latex nearby, it can contaminate the platinum cure. But I think for our shop, we weren't getting the silicone up to temperature.
Could be.
And like on the directions, when I was looking at the silicone, I was like, okay, this stuff we're gonna have to throw away because it's not working for our projects. I'll just try it.
Might as well.
So I read the directions and it was like, it has to be at a certain temperature. So I put these molds in a garbage bag with a heater blowing into it
while it was curing?
while it was curing.
Yeah.
And they came out perfect.
Awesome. My ghost rifle, not so. It was the molds for that turned into a horror show.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to cure on the outside, but the surface,
it gets
usually
all-
touching the model, it stays gummy and gross.
I dusted them with baby powder.
But these
which
ones
helps
turned
prevent
out great.
bubbles
Yeah,
from
I was
getting
surprised.
trapped
That's
in
why I was
the
a little
details.
generously wasteful with the
Yeah.
silicone.
Yeah.
Smooth cast 300 resin for most of the pieces and mixed in some black tint. Some resin would get poured into the mold, and then the whole thing gets tapped around, removing any of the air trapped in the overhangs.
And it's still got air
Then the
traps.
rest of the
Yeah.
mold gets filled up and left to cure.
Ooh, yeah. Some
You
good
can
curing
still see
footage
some
right there.
surface bubbles, but that side will get sanded down later. One of the nice things about molding these pieces is I could cast each wall piece twice, ending up with 4 walls for the box.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted the Hearthstone symbol swirly thing to be slightly see-through, so I used Smooth Cast 325.
Yeah.
I mixed in
Just
some
the
blue
tiniest
and
amount
green
of tint, too.
into
That's
the
so
part
strong
B.
tint.
This resin
A
will cure
little goes a very
transparent.
long way.
The problem with
Oh, our old
transparent
pressure
resin
pot.
is
Oh,
you
yeah.
see all of the
Jeff.
bubbles, so we used a pressure pot.
We never named the new one.
No.
This compresses all of the bubbles to be super tiny so you can't even see them.
Jeff had a little bit of a slow leak.
The color didn't
So we
really
gave it
look
to Eric.
vibrant enough for the
Bought a bunch
Hearthstone
nice one
symbol,
for
so I
ourselves.
picked up some fluorescent pigment
Ooh,
and cast
yeah.
another one.
Oh,
I'm
I
much happy.
gotta go bury that. That smells awful.
It smells like cat poop in here.
Oh,
Joe.
no. Ender, watch me do this. Maybe you'll do this next time. Oh, God. Oh, Ender.
Are you lighting a candle?
I'm lighting a candle over here by my face. Here we go. This is from my mom. Christmas spirit.
Oh, that already smells better.
I know,
Just
right?
being near the
Not
candle.
even lit. Okay, let's watch the rest of our video. Oh, these cats. Here we go.
Here with this color. All of the box pieces, except the symbol, got sanded down on the belt sander. I needed to make sure the lid stayed the same height.
Oh, this was
Bill
fun.
used his chop saw to angle cut the box walls.
Yeah. I had to like...
This was easier than having the angles already
Yeah, you can see, we don't explain it, but there's a hunk of wood there that I made. It's a little jig to hold it because it's got a weird surface.
Yeah.
And this isn't fine woodworking here. This was pretty close. This was like pretty okay.
Yeah. We've
Master.
in the past we've
done
molded
that
things in that
before, and
shape,
the casting
and down in those corners, bubbles always get trapped and stuff. So we're like, we'll just cast it straight and then
And then chop it.
yeah.
ended
And
up
it
with
did work
bubbles
really
trapped
well.
in the angles, and they were difficult to pull from the mold.
It worked well
Plywood
enough.
was roughly
Yeah.
cut and sanded for the bottom of the box.
Look, actual wood.
Yeah.
Bill made a makeshift router table
Oh,
by
yeah.
clamping his router in a vise.
Router tapers
This way he
scared
could
the
cut
crap out of me.
channels in the walls for the plywood.
It worked great though.
Did work great.
After checking the fit, Bill cut the plywood base down to size. We brushed 5-minute epoxy onto the wall edges and into that trench.
just so that we would have as little time as possible to put it together.
Bill used a strap to keep everything in place.
Oh,
and
we got
clamp the
better
walls
straps
together.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got they make a strap like that specifically for gluing up boxes with like little corner bits, plastic corner things that hold the corners.
I think that's what we used for this one.
Yeah, for that one. Yeah.
I'll link the videos where I made this version. It's kind of like in a vlog style I did just for the Extra Credit Club. I'll link those down below if you want to check out that strap.
Yeah. I do know that that strap, which we still own, has a section of it that is covered in epoxy. It's from this project. Still works.
After the epoxy cured, we had an actual box.
Oh, yeah.
So easy.
The lid hinges needed to be recessed into the box, so I marked where they would go and carved them out with a rotary tool.
Very nice.
Also, I carved in wood grain to the bottom of the lid pieces with more files and sandpaper. All of the box pieces were sprayed with brown Krylon camouflage.
Nice.
This paint bonds really well to the plastic.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
The parts that are staying a wood color got masked off with painter's tape. The edges of the masking
I will
were
say if I
scored
was
with a
going to
knife
mold
and
this
peeled
whole
away
thing
for a
again,
clean
I would
edge.
do all the gold pieces as separate.
Yeah.
Only the
molds.
swirl on
Paint
the
them
symbol
separate
was
and then
stained
drop them
blue,
in.
so I
I would
masked
probably
that out too.
Metallic.
For the gold, I used
cold
the
cast
same
them.
metal paints Bill used in his raised blaster video.
Because masking this was a pain.
Started with a black gloss lacquer.
That's kind of one of the magical things about 3D printing is, especially if you're designing the parts, you can. I saw Blind Squirrel make a post about this the other day. He's building a thing where he designed it all in a bunch of different pieces so that there would be zero masking. And
So, yeah, you think about what you enjoy doing. It's like, do you enjoy masking? Or do you enjoy pouring a bunch of different molds?
Yeah.
Like these I would have done separate and then just glued them on or had them recessed in there.
Yeah.
And then I could just cold cast them. Maybe the box top would be all cold cast and I'd just paint the brown over this part. But I don't know. I mean, I never have to do it again.
Then I airbrushed on some pale gold.
love that.
I removed all of that masking and then sprayed all of the pieces with a gloss clear.
Probably about aqua gloss.
I added aluminum tape to the base of the symbol to help reflect light through the resin.
So shiny.
5-minute epoxy was brushed
That aluminum
on the
tape
edges.
gets used.
This gave
so
me
many
enough
ways.
working time to get the angle
I
right.
use it to
At
tape
this
ducting
point, all
together.
of the base colors were complete and it was time to add more wood colors. I used acrylics to add lighter browns and then brushed a black wash into the grain, wiping most of it away. This really makes the details stand out.
Makes you think of
I
like a
used
Sea
water
of Thieves
mixable
sort of
oil
thing.
paints for weathering on the gold parts.
All
The
these
paint
old
got
paints.
brushed on with a Q-tip and
So
then most of
favorite.
it got wiped away. This leaves a
Something
greasy
about, like,
metal look.
Gold with like
This
that
paint
brown
is
oil
awesome,
paint.
but it can take a few days to
Sort
dry.
of like
After
in the
all of that
corners where
weathering,
it's
it
just kind
was
of a
time to attach
gradient
the
that
hinges.
I think looks
Bill
really
used a
spectacular.
self-centering hinge bit to
We
pre-drill
bought
the
that
hole.
especially for this project.
Oh
then
yeah,
added all the screws.
like real woodworkers.
It's a bit that's designed to center in hinges.
Hey look, we made a box. And it works.
Oh
The
really?
last step was clear coating the whole box with more of that gloss lacquer. And just like that, the Hearthstone box is done.
It looks great.
It looks like spring or summer outside.
Yeah,
Oh, look at the
So
flowers.
nice. It's so gray now,
Well,
right
I
now.
hope you enjoyed
Oh.
this build. It was really cool taking all of the stuff we've learned lately and incorporating all of the techniques into one build. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and also check out all of our other prop builds. We have a whole bunch of them. Also, head on over to punishprops.com and check out all of our tutorials and other build videos. I'll see you later, and remember, measure twice and try not to hurt yourself.
For a while, we were thinking that would be our slogan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was great. That was really fun. I'm so glad that you took the time to make one for us. There are a lot of projects that we did back then that we never got one.
Yeah, they were just solely commissions.
Yep.
And it was nice. And I remember we were at BlizzCon and they had a little display of the new stuff they were going to have for sale there and stuff that was going to be coming down the pipeline. They would usually have a prototype statue. And they had their own Hearthstone box. And I remember getting to see it in person.
Yeah, right when it was revealed. pretty much,
And there's like lit up and had sounds and stuff like when you opened and closed it. And I was like, man. But I think, theirs was a little bit smaller, but I mean, I used the references from the card game Hearthstone. They had a perfect top-down view of a CG animation of the box opening. So I just copied that, and it looked like they did the same. So ours were pretty similar.
Yeah, they do
just
look
sized a little
very
differently.
similar,
Yeah.
Well, that was super fun. Always a good time looking back at our old projects. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. And thanks as always for the support. You're wonderful. We couldn't do it without you. Please keep it up. We'll be back next week with a whole bunch more shenanigans from the shop. We'll see you then. Bye.